Good evening and welcome to Just Seriously Voicing Thoughts with me, Kriss Venugopal. And today I have the pleasure of having Raghav Tangri, who is a person with a difference in education as well as work. He's a client engagement person in aesthetics and dentals with CETAs. Welcome, Raghav, to the show. And let me open this show with welcoming a person with a different taste.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chris, and it's a great opportunity to be with you and have this conversation.
Raghavji, let me ask you when a person thinks of a career or education, your choice from engineering to a different kind of medical field, which is the biomedics or the bio side of, say, engineering, how does a person really conceive? Because telling someone that, yeah, I did my engineering, now I'm working on a medical side. So, how do you actually uh, say, convey this to a common person?
I think I'll take you through the journey. Actually, these all things start when you are much younger, and I still remember I and my friend had a sort of great liking for mermaids, right? And from those days, even when we do not know whether they are sort of real or just fictional characters, we were intrigued by the fact that there is this biology that's going on, and sort of how biology works. And reading through biology, we found that maths is also very important to understand things. So that's where, just the fact that I loved to learn and study, and then I always wanted to not leave both maths and biology, right? And therefore I, in my senior secondary, had both the subjects. And I took engineering, which was in biotechnology. And I still remember that we were in that line in which you get admits. And like, your parents are always they want you to take options that secure your future much more earlier, etc. And then we're standing in the line of a college, and my dad was pushing me that just take electronic engineering. I had that option that time, but I just said that, let me try biotechnology. Don't worry, I'll make some sense of it. So just the passion, like just the sort of, I think passion is later on, but just the inquisitiveness to, that I want to study both maths and biology, and then, just pushing that. And sometimes, these are sort of decisions that you take out of your passion, and inquisitiveness, and a little bit of foolishness as well, right? So everything is there. um, but yeah, I studied biotechnology, and again, it had statistical mathematics, and it also had, DNA replication, and sort of all of those different things. And I loved it. I've always loved studying, and I think it becomes difficult when you see a huge book of biology. But if you have a habit of note taking, and if you just are regular in your studies, I think all these things just come to you. And similarly, mathematics is again a very different space. But I could do enough to sort of use it analytically in biology. Yeah, I still don't get around calculus and differential as much as I would like to, but yeah, but I can do enough to save my book. But yeah, is that
Right. Raghavji, when it comes to medical research, like one more step ahead from biotechnology to medical research and trying to understand what the medical world needs and what the client or a patient needs, and that those needs being met midway, and trying to understand the analytics or what's the possible outcome, or what is the recent bridge between the need and the supply. So, how come that field really, or like how far does a common man understand that particular field where you present the needs to the people, or present the what the physicians or the world
Yeah.
actually is looking.
Yeah, so actually, I would like to explain this a bit better, and this is being recorded as well, so it goes out to some people who are studying, biology, biotechnology, right? So, first thing is that there are two business types, which is products business and services business, right? So, when we talk of pharma, medical devices, we're talking of companies that produce a pharmaceutical, manufacture a medical device. That's that. Then there is academia, medical research, where you are doing a sort of pure biology research, or pure research on how DNA replicates, which molecule will help us treat Alzheimer's, right? So those, that category, which is academic research, medical research, right? Um, and I did try my feet in that as well, right? I did a master's from Imperial College in structural biology. What we used to do was, we used to study a protein structure through NMR and X-ray crystallography, right? But that's different research. That's pure science research. What we are talking and what happens in India, we should all be aware that if someone is taking biotechnology, biomedical research, the path to pure research is much longer. You have to do a PhD. There are very few, positions that really do pure science R&D in industry in India, right? What I am a part of is market research. It's services industry. It's basically that when a medical device company is making their product, they have their own R&D, right? Then they have their marketing. Now, to understand the sort of landscape, they come to us. We are market researchers, and they ask us, can you go out to physicians and even patients and try to understand the landscape, where the things that we would do is, we'll do unmet needs prioritization, where we'll say, we go out, we'll read about Alzheimer's, we'll see what are the different diagnostics there, what are the different sort of medicines there, what are the different further down medical devices there, right? And then when we see the whole pathway, we'll discuss these with the physicians, we'll get their comments and find out, okay, this particular thing is a huge unmet need. Alzheimer's does not have a diagnostic test. Right now, we are working on something called as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So we are trying to figure out what is the biggest unmet need in that space, right? So that's one. And then you take that journey. You do concepts. You do concept testing with those medical device manufacturers. You do prototypes. They then, all the things they are doing, we are their service partners, and only thing that we do is we go out to these physicians, learn from them, and bring it back. And we use mathematics here. Honestly, we do it in ways that allow us statistical significance, right? So there are certain rules that, if I mean, if just I give you a very simple example, that physicians are very intelligent, right? All of them will generally say the same thing. So there is a rule that if you interact with 30 physicians that belong to one category, right? Then you can get all the information from them. So, for example, if I want to understand aesthetics and I need to talk to dermatologists and plastic surgeons in India, and there are, say, they work from clinics and hospitals, then if I talk to 30 plastic surgeons in hospital settings, I can understand everything about their priorities, their needs, their wants and wishes and everything. So so this is the industry we are in. We are an ancillary industry to the core pharma medical devices industry, and we are into services. And India does services. India, is not as much into product industries. It is. I mean, I'm just in the medical devices space. You will. We only have two, three large scale medical devices companies that manufacture, produce everything in India, which are also Indian. We will have, I think, 10, 15 medical device companies that are international manufacturing, producing, etc. in India. GE Healthcare, 3Ms being the big ones. Um, but but largely, what India is popular for their global capability centers, right? Where we have these people who sit on laptops and we can do services, we can bring in insights, we can talk through data, and that's what I'm into.
Uh, we are talking about getting information from physicians. Probably in the Western world, the opening up on such cases would be more practical and more heard. But in India, we've seen even on a different level from the companies of the pharmaceutical companies, the medical representatives being not even given space, or probably they are given a different kind of a space, like who invade into the time where a doctor is actually visiting a patient. And how far is this approach of, like, we are here for research and we want to get some information, how far that approach helps with doctors in India or physicians in India?
So, I mean, I think the way to think about this is that sort of, um, as we move up the ladder in terms of our per capita income, right? As we move up the ladder in terms of our physician infrastructure, I think all these things will come into play. Like, I mean, I'm just deviating a little bit, but see, we right now the way we work is that R&D for most of these things are done in in the West, or just internationally, and we use it in India, right? So, and then we do generics for pharma, right? And we can do some, smaller manufacturing, um, in medical devices. The point being that so many times, like India is not included in the development phase. And that's where you see, when a GE builds a portable ultrasound that's very specific because they want to, go to a rural district and do a sort of ultrasound of pregnant women. That brings value to the country. But so many of our medical devices, so many of our pharmaceuticals are not technically built for India, and therefore the question of questioning them, asking them, has not yet come as much. Slowly, it is developing. Recently we did get a project which is very India focused, but then again, our physicians are very busy with handling their work. They don't have sort of these practices, that these things are actually sort of good for them in a way that they can have a secondary source of revenue as well. But all these things sort of take time, right? You see, so we cater to US and Europe. That's the way it works. We can only make money if we cater to them at this moment. But as sort of, as I said, as we grow up our ladders, physicians become more open to talking beyond, the technical jargons, and just coming up with the way they think. All of that is sort of work in progress, and it takes decades. I think the next 10 years you will see much more market research happening for India, for Indian companies, and we're doing these things better. But I think your specific point on MR and their role and how they interact, everything is changing, I think. But yeah, we need to improve the conditions at all the levels. And all of this needs some more education, awareness, and time. And I think if you see, physicians don't have the time also. So if you are sitting in a practice at 10 to 3, and then at 3 p.m. you still have 5 MRs standing outside, it's tricky, right? So it's a different setup, right? Should we send therefore some, e-brochures or some digital campaigns, right? All of these questions are there. So it's not a very one-on-one, linear setup. It's quite dynamic. It's quite tricky. And as you see in the US, a physician will have 10 patients to look at, right? And or they have their own numbers, right? Like they will not look beyond a number, and therefore they have much more time to do all of this. So it's a tricky landscape that needs more thinking and planning, and I think work is going on
Now,
slowly and steadily.
on that note, let me ask another aspect also, because when you're talking about medical devices, say even dental or a kind of a cantilever or some kind of a specific device which is only on the aesthetic side, or maybe for true medical support, different devices on the dental side or the aesthetic side is happening. But when you actually do a research or the MR is conducted on some specifics on US and UK, and when it comes to India, does it become affordable? Usually, then the pricing also would be looked at on a international level or a level where which is affordable for them. So, does it really affect the cost factor of a medical device? Because now, if you look at the Indian medical scenario, there we find that many devices are out of reach of a common person. So does this research also take into account of the affordability factor of, say, an Indian household or an Indian patient?
So I think we need to sort of separate it into two parts. One is that um, innovation has its costs, right? So if you are going to conduct this form of research, it somewhere has to build up into the price of the device, right? Although, I mean, this market research is, I mean, if their investment is $5 billion, their investment in market research would be $5 million. So it's not, I mean, and also it's like much more, it clears up so many things, like the process of having this whole campaign of just planning through what you want to create is much more efficient than doing it on whim or intuition and all those methods, right? So if you spend something on market research, you also improve your probability of success, and it pays off in that way, right? um, Talking of Indian medical devices, 85% of Indian medical devices are still imported. And when you import, there are, so the prices have all those factors that get build up into them. And so I think the reason for the high prices in India is could not be because there is a market research budget. Market research is much minuscule, and I think it pays for itself in most cases. R&D, I think innovation, which is pure R&D, has a lot of cost, and then to offset that, the pricing varies. And I think there are many it's called HEOR. This is a full, health economics and outcomes research. It's a full science in itself, where you try to take a medical device, you go into the setting, you say how will it positively affect the hospital or hospital system's savings, and you bring that back report. You bring that report back. You include that in your analysis, and then you price the device, and then you increase the price because it helps you save a lot of money on the outcomes and all of that. So efforts are going on in streamlining this, and it's a very difficult topic. And you can see what happens in US, right? Like, I mean, if you talk of any drug, it's 5 times pricier in the US than in any other country, because there are patent protections, and then there is a third party insurance who pays for it. And I mean, these topics are very deep in themselves, and
Right.
each.
No, what my question also would point at is that does the market research involve the cost factor for the Indian market?
I would say no for now. One, because medical device research and product manufacturing and all of that is happening more internationally, right? And sort of their price points when it eventually comes to India are are comparatively low when you look at the prices globally. So, I mean, the reasons for high price in India are not market research per se, because market
Mm-hmm.
research is very minuscule, and and again, the probability of success handles that uh, cost factor. So
Now,
yeah.
at this point, let me welcome and acknowledge the presence of the audience. Thank you very much, Semi, Kabir, Finaiki, VH, Sita, Gopal, Viatos, James, Kanimuri, Haja Moedin, Sujay, Dr. Santosh, Soumya Santosh, Bhagyalakshmi, Anu Kurian, Dorina Rinaldi, and Sachita Shankar. Thank you very much for joining us. And another deviating topic, which is like from medical research, biomedics, and biotechnology to music and your inclinations towards music or singing as such has been also there. So, amidst this crunching numbers, biotechnology, among devices and all that, your liking towards music. We would like to know more about that.
So again, I think I was in first grade when a teacher called my mom up and said that your son has a good voice. And we were in Chandigarh that time,
Hmm.
and then she started to include me in all the singing that she used to do. She would shout at me that I used to sing very loudly, because actually, if there are 5 6 kids singing together, your voice does not come out. So sort of your ego wants to have that voice out there. So I used to sing much louder than everyone else, which would make the whole thing look bad. But that's what I wanted to do for many years, and she would scold me for many years, right? But then we went to Lucknow, and Lucknow has a very rich culture, right? We used to live in a small apartment setting complex, and there used to be a music teacher who used to come very regularly. And I started, actually, I learned piano, and then I learned singing, and then so for 2 years he taught me just sargam. He would not
Hmm.
allow me to move anywhere else. So he would say that, this is the base, we keep doing this. And I happily did it. Because, for me, like, I considered it to be very meditative, and just like I felt very good about doing it. And then 3 4 years, I think 3 years roughly, we did with him, and he just kept only sargam. That's what we learned all the time. And then after, I think it's 12 13 years, right? And I could not get to anyone to learn singing. I used to sing early in the morning, right? I'll just put my Tanpura and sit in the drawing room and sing. And then eventually, when I came to Bangalore, I started looking for another teacher, and then then sort of a teacher took me in gracefully, and then I'm learning with her. And again, I mean, see, like, the way to look at these things for me more is just that it sort of, it's meditative for me. I don't put sort of bars on me to reach certain scale, certain achievement, certain anything, right? So, I mean, I'm still intellectually lame, right? For if you will ask someone who is 6 years into music, you would expect them to know many things, and be able to say, okay, I know this raga, I know this intellectually. But I'm quite okay not knowing all of those details, and just enjoying the time that I get, 30 minutes, 45 minutes weekly with my teacher, and then probably an hour or so, otherwise. But also, like, if any of you guys are learning to sing, I mean, I would love you to sort of make a group with you guys, and do it together. One other thing I would mention is that, even when I have also one more thing that I want to tell you, that for 5 6 years, 7 years, if you do something without sort of goals and accomplishments attached to them, I believe that there sometimes are inflection points that can quickly move you through ladders. I mean, I'm not talking about music per se, but that happened to me at work as well, right? I mean, some people just are a little slower than others, right? Like, everyone cannot be sort of best on their first efforts. because it's more complex, right? You need intellectual, you need skill, you need that voice or talent, and so this much more complex. So, but if you stay with the journey, right, and you just enjoy it and you keep learning, maybe you're slow, but sometimes you hit an inflection point which can move you quickly through multiple steps. And again, it's not for music per se, but it is for different things that we are all trying. So I do not like berate myself for not being able to sing on every platform, or not being able to uh, you know uh, know all the ragas or anything like that. I just enjoy, and sort of, if you will tell me to sing, I'll sing. So that's what it is. But thing is, I might not know everything,
I'm sure listening
or,
to this,
or a good amount of things that five, six
listening.
years people who will learn might know.
Yeah, my the first instance when you said if you ask me to sing, like I will sing, I'm sure that from the audience per se, the point of view, Kabirji would naturally ask you to sing. That will happen a few minutes from now. But like, do you feel that your work, or maybe a very complex learning like biotechnology and statistics and medical research and music, how does these two different fields merge together and flow? Does one help the other? Like, does music put you to a east state, which helps you in performing better? You present the needs per se in seminars, and where you get to talk about the devices, but at the same time, do you have that urge that the same stage could be another stage where you would be singing? So is there a converging point of these two, or is it like just one complementing the other?
I think everything merges. Like, I think there's that saying, right? By when Steve Jobs was there, I think he said, when I look back, that font that you see in sort of Apple's, which was brought first by like Apple's typography, would not have happened if he would not have taken a random calligraphy class. Because in that calligraphy class he picked up, and he was not into any of that art form. So I think all of this merges. It allows you to think clearly. It allows you to not beat yourself up when you make mistakes. It allows you to take responsibility. And again, I think the parts of brain are also different, if I'm not wrong. I'm not sure, but maybe I think maths and music might have similar parts as well. But it keeps the whole brain engaged if you are into multiple activities. And that all of this helps, right? Like, I mean, I cannot directly join the notes. So my music is very similar to my spiritual practices. So I align more of my music in that category, that it allows me to sort of ease, and through that easing I can meditate. And if I'm in a sort of meditative state, then I can think clearly. And if you think clearly, then maybe a complex problem in maths or biotechnology might become easier. So I mean, this is hypothesis, but it could be a way to think about it.
Right. In a short while, the audience, they also can join us in this discussion, and they can raise their virtual hand, and I can bring them on stage, and you can interact with each and every one. And at the same time, they can also interact with you. So, audience, this is your chance to raise your hands and come to the stage and interact with Raghav himself. Raghavji, another aspect of, say, when you said about the singing part, and when you were talking about the amount of time a person has to put, do you really feel that there is a particular phase or particular time when you have to start learning music or any kind of art form? Is there a particular time, or anyone can start anytime depending on their desires?
There is no age,
Right.
particularly now. Like, the thing is that it's online, so even better. I mean, when I started learning, my mother has started learning now to sing. She always wanted to do that. So, which is,
Hmm.
she would be 56, I think. And so I think there is no age. I think what happens is that learning all these skills technically does not need to have an outcome. There is
Mm-hmm.
enough reference in, if you take literature or anything, that if you just learn, it's good in itself. If you just do any of these upskillings, they are just good in themselves. My mother-in-law has started learning acupuncture recently, right? She started learning painting recently. My mother-in-law, I'm talking about my mother-in-law, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and there is no age. There is no age. My wife started learning Spanish recently because Duolingo allows that. You can quickly pick up that language with those games. So I'm just saying that there are things that are changing quite drastically. The barriers of entry have reduced. Like I go physically and learn to sing because I like the whole
Mm-hmm.
experience, but my mother cannot go. uh, Even when she's nearby, I think her timings don't match. She has to make food for dad and stuff like that, so she has to do it at odd hours. So she does it online, right? And see, if you don't attach an
Right.
outcome, you can just enjoy the journey. You can just go online and just have fun. And there are incredible folks out there, right? Like if I talk about my music teacher, right? She comes from the Vishnupur Gharana and she's a Bengali, and they traditionally teach, right? It's not even the modern infrastructure where 30 minutes 400 rupees, right? We sit and sometimes we end up
Mm-hmm.
singing for 1.5 hours, and she would never ask me for another payment. She like 1500, 1600, 4 classes ka de do, and that's it. And because she loves it and she just sings the whole day, and if one person joins in and sings with her, she does not mind it. And it's just a gala party, right? So if you make learning just a gala party, I think
Right.
age, nothing matters, right?
Right. Right. We have Samya Santosh, academic head, PKD School, Polachi. Yes, Samya, the stage is all yours.
Hi Raghav.
Hello, Ka.
What's your what's your connection with Paris? You've gone there twice, so Paris beckons you often.
I think I've gone there more times as well. So there is this conference where I present. It's called IMCAS. It's in the aesthetic space. Um, so what happened? And again, there is a story to this. So I used to make a deck for my boss, and he used to present. And I think 7 years ago, right? So for 3 years, I made the deck, but somewhere I wanted to go and present. So when he left the company, there was no one to do it, and I got the opportunity. And then every time you go there, the only goal you have is that let's try to get the opportunity the next time. Um, so yeah, I mean now I've changed my company, and we're still trying to get back to them and see if with the new company I can do the same thing. Um, but yeah, so sort of these things, you somewhere in your heart desire, and that's where what you desire, you should also think a lot about it, because you know most of things do happen, but then when they happen, you are not sure whether you wanted that really. So now I actually has focus more on what I desire, uh, because I mean if you are slow and patient and keep doing that thing multiple times, it happens. And then when it happens, then one, you should be happy about that it happened, then second, you should perform, right? Asking for things before their time also has have a risk. Growing too quickly also has the risks, right? Like because you'll not be able to perform. So gardening, I think I go there, I sort of learn the trends, I speak at that podium. There are CEOs, and they couldn't, like, they think that I'm speaking sense. And yeah, I mean I have also grown in the process, because when I used to hear my boss talk to me about those decks, I mean it had a very different language. So over the years I just learned it up. I, for most parts, act it out like my boss would do it, because I still have a lot of inspiration in me from him. Eventually I think a day will come when I will have my own way of doing things, and then I do it even better.
All right.
Thank you. I'm totally excited to see you here, Raghav. That's there. I forgot to tell. And waiting to hear you singing. I'm waiting for Kabirji to ask you to sing. So I will not take that chance.
All right. Thank you very much, Soumya. And we have Dr. Santosh. Yes, Dr. Santosh, the stage is all yours.
Yeah, hi Raghav.
Hello, Mom.
Ni- nice to see you in this platform.
Family affair.
Uh, yeah, but I'm asking a totally professional question because
Okay.
one of the things that we face in the health sector is the absence of accurate data when it comes to Indian data.
Yeah.
So, while we do have some data, some probably representative but not comprehensive. When it comes to market, also you must be facing similar issues. So, I would like to know how you overcome that and how do you think it is affecting your your kind of profession in your
Yeah.
daily business. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, so I think first of all, I'll maybe it's a little political in a way, but like since the last few years, right? That sort of Aadhaar happened, then that there is this PMJ. I think a lot has happened recently in digitizing health records, and I mean it's still very nascent. I think it again will take another 5 years and maybe a stronger political push and all that. But there is some work going on in building that infrastructure to be able to have the data first and then solve for the data. And then what happens when we do market research is that we come to India with ratios. I mean, what happens is that we'll study US and we'll say the penetration in the US for X thing. I mean, so epidemiology data, I think it's still much better. We now understand much better the fact that how many patients we have of diabetes. I think that's becoming better, and I think Dr. Sudesh, you might know better. I think you can comment on it better. But when it comes to us, what we do, we take Western models. We'll say penetration of glucose monitor in the US in the population is 10%, right? And then we'll come to India and we'll apply it on the 1.4 billion. And that's the first models that we made when I joined, right, 2018. And first of all, global headquarters always had focus only on the sort of bigger markets. India has been small for very long. Now, over the years, because it grows at 20% 20-25% clip, there is more interest in India. Still very less. It's not as much. So, when sort of global headquarters first of all wanted India data much later, so they never wanted the data. Now, when they want it, the first models are based on US EU penetrations applied to Indian population. Now, further than that, now we have learned that that population is not the population that enters healthcare, because we are not able to cater to 1.4 billion people for healthcare, right? We are only catering to a very minuscule folks. Then everything is commercially driven, right? All medtech operations, everything has to have a sort of a positive profit attached to it, right? Then it's actually only sort of the percent of people that pay your um, taxes, which is 5 crores, 6 crores. I don't know. You can take a number, but that's the actual folks that are entering the hospital systems and going for medical procedures. Again, it's not pharma. Pharma, you might have 50 crores out of that 140 crores. But when you talk of medical device procedures, beyond stenting, I don't think their knee replacement, hip replacement have those sort of markets. So eventually, from 140 crores, you're actually working effectively with 3 crore population, for which probably today most discretionary services are coming into India. So everything that all the GDP and everything actually is being built by these 3 crore or 4 crore, 5 crore people, right? Which is the sort of ballooning middle class becoming slightly upper, and to sort of, again, I mean, from a data perspective, I'm telling you. So therefore, now all our models work on this population, right? When they work, bring the penetrations from foreign countries, they apply it on this population. And again, this is not data, this is again estimates, models. For data, again, there are some private, like Apollos and Fortises of the worlds. They have chains, so they do have their own private data. So, and then I think Piramal tried to get a couple of companies that get all of that data together. So some strategy, some level, some aggregation is happening. But again, we have come a small distance, and there is a huge distance still to make India data ready, make our work better, accurate, and cost effective, that market research pays for itself through the improvement of outcomes, etc. So that's the story.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I think you leave to others to ask more questions.
Thank you, Dr. Santosh. And now we have Kabirji. Yes, Kabirji, the stage is all yours.
Hi Raghav.
Hello.
As Chris told, I would like to hear your song, but before that, I would like to know: do you practice daily, and how's your schedule? How long do you practice?
I'll be honest. I'm not practicing daily, and I want to practice daily. And that's where I'm saying, if in this group, if there is anyone who wants to practice, make a practice group, I would love to make it and be a part of that. So you see, like, I play badminton, and that happens regularly on Saturdays and Sundays because there are 8 to 9 people involved. Now, for music, what happens is that I have to do it alone, and I have not been able to do it honestly for the last couple of um, months. I was more regular 6 months ago, I would say, but that was also not very regular. So, I think, yeah, I am not doing very good job with that, honestly.
So I think you have to join Dr. Chris voice stream, which happens daily, 5:30
Yeah,
in the morning and evening 5 o'clock.
done.
After this, I'll be sending you the link.
It's a good way, right? Like if I make that time, then just after that I can make 30 minutes for singing. Because you just need that
I
on what will you put the. I mean, you just need 20 to 30 minutes daily, and my music teacher weekly is requesting me, and I want to do it, but I don't know how to break that. Sometimes I find it difficult. Yeah.
You're coming
So I'll
back.
attend your class, and then just after that I'll sing for 30 minutes.
Yeah, coming to Kabirji's request for the song. We all ears.
So I'll try something classical only, and again, this is there in my head because we recently practiced it with my teacher. This is um, Rag Bihag, and the thought is Bilawal. So when you sing Bihag, the thing is that it's full 7 notes rag. All the notes are there. The Ma is both Madhyam and Tivra. So you have both a sharp Ma and the not Komal, the normal Shuddha Ma. Ga gama pa gama ga re sa ni ni pa ni sa sa ma ga ga gama pa gama ga re sa ni ni pa ni sa sa ma ga साजन बामुरे अति सुंदर साजन बामुरे अति सुंदर रस की रसैया बजाबे बसैया रस की रसैया बजाबे बसैया अति सुंदर साजन बामुरे अति सुंदर रास रचाए नाच नचाए रास रचाए नाच नचाए आप नाचे जग तो नचाए मनमोहन 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 रास रचाए नाच नचाए आप नाचे जग तो नचाए मनमोहन अति सुंदर साजन मोरे अति सुंदर साजन मोरे अति सुंदर साजन मोरे अति सुंदर.
Thank you very much for that beautiful piece. Wonderful. It really takes me to my classes, which I have almost forgotten, and it's coming back all in my memories. Now, bringing notice to that portion where you have talked about Bangalore, having a teacher from Bengal and learning Hindustani, and probably tracing back your steps to Lucknow and all those different parts of India. Your perspective on music and the melting pot, especially in a place like Bangalore. Your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, so Bangalore, I feel, is sort of a mini India in many ways, right? Um, um, as I said, like I have lived in many parts of India. My father works for Cummins, so we kept traveling. So I was in Chandigarh, Pune, Lucknow, Delhi, um, Hyderabad. Now we're in Bangalore. So Bangalore, what it brings to me is that so my family is Punjabi. My wife is Tamilian. They are settled in Kerala, so there is a lot of Malayalam influence, or I would say some Keralite influence, Malayali influence. Sometimes I get these wrong. My wife is very particular. And then there is this whole Bengali community that I'm attached to, and then also Assamese and people from Tripura. All of them are here. So the fact that there is this whole opportunity of work that brings everyone together, and it's quite metropolitan, and we all respect the Kannadiga folks around, and there can be some ups and downs there, but and so you can see, right, it's like New York of India in many ways, or maybe New York is Bangalore of India in many ways, whatever you want to call it. And then but see, the things that I want to change in Bangalore, right? Like, how can we get our, municipal corporation to, just think about infrastructure better? How can we? I don't know how. So, I mean, if this is the podium where folks are there, we're working in the city councils or something. Let's talk about this. How do we think about water, and how do we, think about sort of waste management? We have the best technologies of the world here, right? The Zeptos, all these folks come here first. The other guys also, Olas, the cab, the auto taxis, but the waste segregation technologies. Or I think there is this guy. I think his name is Anand, and he's doing a great work in cleaning lakes. But I mean, if there are any things that we can do as community, it'd be great. So, and Bangalore offers the weather, right? Today morning also, like we have a family chat group, and in Australia, particular part of Australia, someone messages it's 3 degrees. In Delhi, it was 40 something degrees, and Bangalore has 25 degrees today. So it offers a lot. And I've been here for 7 years, and I think I sort of respect the city a lot. And wherever there are work groups or volunteer groups that want to work for Bangalore, I mean, music brings everyone together, right? Like, if we all sit together, there's one who has a sort of a percussion instrument, a guitar. I mean, we can do these drives along with singing songs, right? So I think, as you said, everything can come together, and so because we'll all be happy, while the time we'll be picking up waste, right? And then so that'll be the moral booster in many ways. And I think there is a huge Bengali community here, anyway. So and they are also very rich in art and culture. So I end up being with them a lot. But I mean, Bangalore has all forms of communities. There are Marwadis on the roads because of the shops. Like they have all the shops around Bangalore. Then there are Gujaratis doing business. There are, so it's quite metropolitan. It's quite amalgamation of all the people.
Raghavji, given a choice, would you pick London or Bangalore?
I will pick Bangalore.
It's a very heartwarming thought that when a person
Yeah.
talks about a place like London, and the choice would be given to Bangalore, in spite of the fact that, yes, traffic issues and all that stuff still exists, but still our heart goes for that. And the main reason would be the cosmopolitan nature and the kind of exposure what you get in Bangalore and the kind of garden city it used to be. Now it's more of a traffic city, but still the garden exists in the heart of the people. So that really
Yeah.
is a very thought-provoking thing which you have shared.
Yeah, I mean,
Now,
I would believe, like, I would like to add a couple of points here. I think, sort of, in India, we need our folks to be in India. Like, not just Bangalore, like, we need our people to be in India. And I think even if we go out, like, it's like you can do, it's like we need to have more sort of permeable membrane sort of borders, right? Where you go out, you learn, you come back, because we need our folks in India. India needs to go through certain things in the next 25 years, which we need to do it for ourselves, right? It can be digitizing healthcare. It can be building whatever AI softwares, our own chatbots. All of that we need to do for our country, and that's where I mean I am quite love my country that way. So quite passionate.
on that note, I would like to add one thing which we discussed, like when Raghavji and me telling the audience that when we discussed the main point of contention, he said, like, I've heard interviews of Abdul Kalam and of the great people. Why me? Now, this particular point of how we can belong to our own place is a thought which comes from your heart, and I respect that. And probably I would say that's the key point or the highlight of the whole talk we had. And probably parents got a new idea about how biotechnology is a feasible industry and how physicians understand medical research better. And probably that's the next step towards what we are looking at in India, and different aspects of how a practice which you have been carrying forward in music for such a long time. All these things give a new, fresh, new perspective. And that exactly is what I wanted to tell you when we discussed about why this interview. And here, just seriously voicing thoughts brings people from all walks of life. And today, the point you have given us is true to every city in the whole expanse of India. And I'm sure that this reaches out to every person and understand that we need to belong to our own country, our own state, our own district, and we take pride in being what we are. And being a part of a culture, even if you're away from our home, let's say, like, as you said, from Tripura and Assam and from Bengal, from Punjab, everyone coming down to Bangalore and making it a very special melting pot of cultures. So these lessons I would take with a smile and would like to spread it to the whole world, and would like to take this moment and pass it on to you for your parting notes about just seriously voicing thoughts with me.
I mean, I always enjoy having such conversations, and I really sort of I think I sent a note to you as well, right? Like the idea is really helping everyone around and just sort of. So basically, what happens is that like I do like if I have crossed a hurdle, I would have had some tips and tricks, and it's always like I wanted to share with whoever is in a situation where they can use it. So that's basically my philosophy. And actually, I mean, I could have borrowed it. Like Charlie Munger's sort of his death thing that he has on his you know reads that someone who was useful. I think that's what I want to be. It's very simple. Someone who is doing a 10,000 rupees job can do 50,000 rupees job without really breaking their anything. Like in a year's time, if they are discussing, talking, and learning, they can move that ladder. So these things can change things drastically, and that's where I always want to be a part of these things and voice out and say, hi guys, if you want to just drop a note to me personally, I'm always there to guide you and talk to you. And so I'll before parting, I'll just say that फूल फूल भंवरा डोले मन में गूंज तेरी याद फूल फूल भंवरा डोले मन में गूंज तेरी याद बाग में पपीहा बोले पीहू पीहू पीयू कहाँ. So have fun, be happy, learn a lot, and we're all together. We're a community, and we should all stay in touch and keep talking on podiums like this.
Thank you very much, Raghavji. And also, before saying a bidding farewell to everyone, I would like to thank Rachita Karta and Sonia Sebastian, who joined us later, part of the interview. Thank you very much for joining us. And thank you very much, Raghavji, for your time. And thank you very much, Samya Santosh and Santosh, for the questions, and Kabirji for the song request. Just Seriously, Voicing Thoughts with me, Kriss Venugopal, Thursday nights, 9:30 India time and 8 p.m. UAE time every week. So be there. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you for your time.